Hello and welcome to Two Trees Gaming. It's the Warhammer World Grand Tournament and it's the most competitive tournament on our calendar. It's myself, Aaron, Louis and Leon, and we're taking the Wolves of Isengard and the Road to Helms Deep, Assault on Helms Deep and Riders of EOMER, the Army of Gothmog and the Return of the King, and the Host of the Witch King and ARNOR. It was an excellent tournament. There's going to be an epic Two Trees first, and we're going to be playing the players ranked numbers 1 and 2 in the UK. And more importantly, there's a prize on the line for whichever out of the four of us finishes highest, and it's going to have big ramifications going into our next tournament. Please do like and subscribe. The video has taken an awful long time to make, so please don't take it for granted. Please consider the Patreon. There's little bits of exclusive content on there as well, and you can get some dice. But without further ado, it's the Grand Tournament at Warhammer World, and I hope you enjoy it. The tournament is 700 points, and each player takes a good army and an evil army, and the matchups are always good versus evil. We'll be playing all 6 scenarios from the main rulebook, and there's no soft scoring. So it's all about how well you play on the battlefield. It'll be 3 points for a win, 1 for a draw, and nothing for a loss. It's myself, Aaron, Louis, and Leon. We'll talk you through what we're taking, and then I'll do a quick tournament review about how we're getting on. Who wants to start off? Not Louis, because we want people to keep watching. I'm bringing the Wolves of Isengard and the Road to Helms Deep. I'm not going to go into loads of detail on my army, as we talked about it in the last video, but essentially I'm playing the scenarios. I'm hoping to destroy the supplies, recon, and hold ground with my wags, bag the 3 wins, and then hopefully just get a lucky draw with the Road to Helms Deep. It's not the best strategy, but if luck's with me, I could end up doing quite well.
Stop going, oh, he's like, oh, Gimli and Legolas are great on a horse because Legolas gets an extra attack and then can spend Gimli's might. And I'm like, you know who can spend Gimli's might? Gimli. You know who gets 3 attacks? Gimli.
I've had a game where Gimli got stuck on Legolas's horse because they couldn't win the heroic move roll-offs, and he's got to move off on his move. So then Legolas gets charged, Gimli was stuck on the horse, so I learned I need to drop him off sooner. We also talked through Aaron's army in the same video we talked through mine, so definitely go and check that out. But he's bringing Assault on Helms Deep and the Riders of EOMER. His evil half is purely about numbers. He's got plenty of pikes and berserkers and 2 banners, so he'll be bringing plenty of dice to every combat, and he's got the ballista for support as well. His good half is only 14 models, but it's got access to magic through Gandalf the White. It's got a free heroic combat with EOMER, and once per game, he can make the whole enemy army receive -1 to their duel roll. And you've got an awesome display board, really, for Helms Deep, coming down the slope. But this is the GT, there's no points for boards. Obviously, we're all hoping for cabinets on nomination.
That's all we want. I mean, Louis' whole thing is there's no points for being nice.
Yeah, exactly. Lou, what are you taking?
I've got an ARNOR board, so my good half is ARNOR. Gone hero heavy, trying to make the most of Malbeth's saves. I've only got 31 models. Malbeth, Arvidui, 2 captains, Anorath and Argadir, a few knights and a banner. So that's pretty standard, but gone less models, more heroes, trying to bubble up, make the most of Malbeth.
How many times did you remember to save against Leon?
Oh, I can forget that. Yeah.
And you've got your 4 set points as well, which you forgot yesterday as well.
And your auto win priority.
Yeah, so remember the special rules, that's the key one. But yeah, I don't normally play like that. I'm a bit more gung-ho normally, but actually I'll try and play a bit GT, grind it out and see what happens.
So much fun to be about.
Shield like I have to. Yeah, but
so
I'll still be grateful. I'll still be grateful for not having to play
with people love models that just keep surviving.
Yeah. So just break it to us slowly. What's in the evil half?
It's the Host of the Witch King. I've gone heavy on Barrow Wights.
Oh god.
So I've gone Witch King, a captain, Shadow of Rudar, and 3 Barrow Wights.
3 Barrow Wights. Your very first games of this edition were last night, weren't they? We played 3 games here.
One against 3 Barrow Wights then?
Pick something nice and simple. Start with your favourite scene from the film. 3 Barrow Wights.
Just out of interest, though, if we did teams, you got up to 800 points, but you just had another Barrow Wight.
No, it had 2.
2 Barrow Wights.
But your board is actually unreal. You've got a big shot at the cabinet. Or I'm hoping you do alright. It is insane.
We need to make a board like that to play on because it's so good.
4x4 board of that.
Yeah.
It's the floor texture things though, and that was literally the first thing I said to you, wasn't it? And then how did you actually make your floor texture?
I live on an unkept road, so I just went outside with a dustpan and brush and swept up my road and then poured it on.
When they come and tarmac that, you're going to go running outside.
No!
I'm going to be selling bags of my road on eBay for like £10.
Okay, right, so Leon, what you bought, Good and Evil?
Good. The Return of the King with Aragon, Gimli, Legolas, King of the Dead, and with 15 Spear and Shield and a banner. They're really high defence 8, so they're so hard to kill. So if they can hold up the army while the heroes do the work, then that's what I'm looking for.
So, Evil Army.
So I brought a piece of shit army because it's a GT. So I've got Gothmog, Gurits, some mornings, a couple of mornings, and 2 catapults.
2 catapults, with trolls of course.
With trolls of course. Anything cavalry is probably going to give me trouble, but again, it then releases the troll. So they're going to
release the troll.
Aye, and I was like last. I feel like I've got 2 trolls there chained up, and I'm just wanting somebody to come down, destroy my catapult, release the trolls, and cause carnage on my side of the board.
I have a 2 trees proposal. I propose that whoever wins the GT, the next tournament is teams. Whoever wins the GT is team captain.
Whoa, do you mean finishes high between the 4?
No, we're going to rope in Ed Ball.
Hello.
Whoever finishes bottom, sorts out Red Ball. Whoever finishes highest out of the 4 of us is captain for teams. What do we think?
I'm up for it. My only risk is that because of Leon's catapult, in theory, he rolls 2 6s in 2 games. Leon's captain. Leon's captain.
Oh god.
I think we could do a proper Jose Mourinho and people would be like, they're not going to win this guy's their captain.
Louis, you got table 1 last game of the last GT.
The final.
You got the final of the last GT. Anything like that would be unreal. We might be having some mid-cable finishes, but really,
I want to be on that first racket.
I just want to be ahead of you guys.
I just want to captain teams.
Yeah, I just want to captain teams. That's it. I can't have you guys captain teams.
I don't want to captain teams, so I'm going to try and not win this day.
Game 1 was Recon. Let's find out what that's all about. In Recon, no models begin in play. At the end of your move phase, roll a dice for each warband that is not yet on the battlefield. On a 4+, they move on from the controlling player's board edge. On a 1 to 3, they don't, but add 1 to their roll next turn. You score 4 victory points if more of your models have escaped the opponent's board edge than the other way around. 8 victory points if at least twice as many and at least 2 of your models have escaped, or 12 victory points if at least 3 times as many of your models have escaped. 1 victory point for each hero that escapes the board to a maximum of 3. 1 victory point for wounding the enemy leader, or 2 if you kill them, and 1 victory point for breaking your opponent, or 3 if you're not broken and your opponent is. The game ends when one force has been reduced to 25% of its starting number. Escape models count as being on the battlefield for determining if an army is broken or reduced to 25%. I find myself against Chris, who is a really nice guy who wanted to make the most of the new monster rules. He'd bought the Blackgate army with the Mouth of Sauron, the souped up troll chief, 4 other trolls, one of which has got a drum. It was Recon, so I obviously wanted to be using my wags, but I was stuck with Road to Helms Deep, but it was a favourable matchup for me. Because of their dominant rule, I needed to kill at least 2 of the trolls and ideally not lose any models. Early in the game, I shot the Mouth of Sauron with Legolas, took a wound off, and then a rider that couldn't get into a troll took a massive in the way for a plank of Goblin Town scenery and killed the Mouth. It was a massive advantage to me. I then jumped on a troll with Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli and Theoden, called 2 heroic strikes, a heroic combat and a heroic strength, and bounced into his chief and another troll, killed those as well, and then at that point it was just a case of mathsing it out to make sure I could get off the board edge before he got off this edge with his 2 trolls to get maximum victory points. There was a few nervous barges from his trolls near my board edge, but I did manage to do it, and I started the tournament with a 19-0 win and a great game. What did you have?
I had my Angmar against Realms of Men. So we had King of Men, Lance Heavy Armour, and 2 Ministerial Captains. So we had 40-something models, and 12 of them were knights. So I was actually like, it's not the best matchup. So for recon, got a lot of models, a lot of cavalry. His knights came on first, but his 2 captains didn't. So then they were kind of ahead. And then so I kind of went out them piecemeal a little bit. It was really close. It ended up, my little quadrant broke through, his didn't, killed his leader, and 20-0.
Oh my god.
But it does not do the game justice.
How did the Barrow Wights do? And you're paralysing and your heroes and...
They had one big target really. So paralysed the king, killed him, and then paralysed the captain and killed him. And then they paralysed like a couple of knights for fun after that.
Oh, it's horrible.
Oh my days, that's not great. Leon was drawn against Gethin, who's a player that I always hope to get drawn against, as I've had some really good games against him in the past. But he's also a very good player, and he'd shot me to pieces with his Wozers at the last GT, so some revenge was in order. Shot me to absolute pieces. I went up to Leon, get some 2 trees revenge for me, catapult him to hell, which is, this is the time you do your catapults impression, Leon.
Catapults!
How did it go?
Catapults will get put in the bin. No, so yeah, Thranduil's side was on the left-hand side of me, and Legolas with some Rangers on the right. So I was like, I'll go over to the right, pull his army over, and as they're coming over, pummel them, which I did do, but then he got over a lot quicker than I was expecting. The catapults were misfiring. He got involved, and all of a sudden I had a fight on the battlefield. But
Which is not what you came
which
for.
I did not want to do. And then I ended up losing the game 17-0. He got some riders off. I couldn't get anywhere near the edges, and he just held me up there. And then obviously started breaking. So 17-0, but it was a good game.
That's all right. Yeah, that's okay. You can submarine. We're all good. And then Aaron's game went on for a very long time, and I did get to watch the end, and it was very dramatic. And you were playing against
Dom. We sat down. I've got Riders of EOMER and Assault on Helms Deep. He got Riders of Theoden and Assault on Helms Deep. So basically, like, tell you what, so we just roll a 4, 5, or 6, see which one of us ends up with riders, and then shake hands and walk away. It's recon. It's recon with weather top in the middle of the board. So literally, you're like, well, the rider's just going to go left or right. So I ended up with Assault on Helms Deep, and I put my ballista in one corner in the corner that didn't have trees. So I've used 2 bases of trees on my left-hand side, ballista on the right-hand side to shut down the right-hand side of the board.
Yeah.
I then used the ballista to kind of circle around to try and create a gun line. He marched with Theoden at it to get within 12.
Oh, clever.
I only fired 1 shot with the ballista all game. I killed 2 riders with it. And then basically, yeah, he had Theoden and some riders working down. Used a hill to guard me shooting my crossbows at them. Like, the hill was literally full of crossbow bolts at the end of the game. I realised that I was going to 25% it with nothing off the board. So I was like, right. But I was like, I need to kill. EOMER had been shielding against 8, basically 12 Uruk-hai for the whole game. EOMER then fluffed that. I murdered EOMER, and then took the opportunity to kill Gamling because I didn't want one of his heroes getting off. So I was like, right, okay. And I'd worked it out. I was like, okay, he's now 25%. I then stabbed the horse, and the rider Rohan fell off and broke his neck.
We rolled a 1 though, didn't we?
And it turns out you don't have to re-roll that. If you're an expert rider, you can just choose to break your
It
neck.
says you may re-roll the 1.
So he
So
broke
left
his neck.
this guy broken necked on the floor deliberately.
I then start of the next turn, he's got a courage test to take with his rider. Basically, everybody else are tagged in combat. His rider's on courage 7. He passes, it's not 25%, and then literally my whole army will walk off the board. And then his rider failed, and then I stopped this short with about 14 Uruk-hai.
Yeah, it really was close.
And then lost 13-2.
13-2. Looked like a great game though.
I didn't expect to drop that many. I didn't expect to drop EOMER and Gamling in the same turn. If I'd not killed them both in that turn, I'd have clocked it. It's because they both went down. It was very close, but it was good. Very good.
Yeah, it was all a good bunch of first games.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, my second game was against the right knobhead. But we'll come to that. After game 1 is the painting competition, and everyone is allowed to enter a single hero, a warband, and a monster to be voted on by fellow players. I've taken the photos in a bit of a rush as usual, as there's a massive queue behind me, but this Bill the Pony eventually won the best single hero, and it was thoroughly deserved, so well done to Chris Webster on that one. He also won best monster for the Watcher in the Water, and I forgot to take a picture of who won best warband, but well done to you too. Some of my personal highlights include this Faramir and Gandalf, this Autumnal Gloin, which I'm definitely going to copy, this Dane. I put my King Theoden dismount, who's here. There's the inevitable pair of Smaugs who are taking votes from each other. This white ent, these uruks, shank and rot and the snow troll. There's these 40k orcs that have snuck in, and this Rohan banner. I'm just a sucker for a shield design like that. The painting is amazing, and it was a brilliant standard of hobbying, especially for a tournament where there are no soft scores. It's all about how well you play the game, and people are still just going to town on the hobby and really elevating the competition. Absolutely love it. Game 2 is next, and there's the matchup to end all matchups happening on table 1. I've been drawn against Louis. The scenario is destroy the supplies. We'll find out what that's all about, and then we'll check in with Aaron and Leon before we get back to the main event. In Destroy the Supplies, you must destroy your opponent's supplies whilst protecting your own. Each player places 3 supply markers equally spread 12 inches in from their board edge. To destroy a supply marker, a model must be in base contact with it in the end phase without having been in a fight, cast magical powers, used a missile weapon, or be under the effects of transfix or similar spells. Armies are deployed 12 inches in from each player's board edge. You score 3 victory points for each enemy's supply marker that's been destroyed. 1 victory point for each enemy's supply marker that hasn't been destroyed, but that you have more models within 3 inches of. 1 victory point if you destroyed more supply markers than your opponent. 1 victory point for wounding the enemy general, or 3 if they're slain. 1 victory point for breaking the opponent, or 3 if you break them and are not broken yourself. 2 victory points if your opponent has no banners remaining at the end of the game, and 1 victory point for having at least 1 banner at the end of the game, or 2 if you have more banners at the end of the game. The game ends when one force is reduced to 25% of its starting number.
I played Gabrian, I think it was pronounced Gabrian.
Okay.
He had Birder and Hill Trolls of Angmar.
Oh, and they were painted really cool. I saw them in the cabinet.
He'd done them as orcs, 40k orcs. Yeah. So we got Goths, and so it's really cool. So yeah, no, he didn't have enough might. So basically, the first turn, not the first turn, but the first time we could combat, Gandalf and Éomer heroic combated and struck against a troll, then killed another troll. Gandalf previously had Sorcerer's blasted another troll, so it was on the floor.
Oh god!
So he died as well. Bird had to defensively strike because of the.
Did you go for him then?
They didn't go for him, obviously not. And then I got Bird the next turn, and then but as that, I was just mopping all the supplies.
So what was the final score?
20-0.
20-0. Well played though. Well played. You needed that. You're back up in there now. Yeah. Leon. You looked a bit stressed at the end of your game too, and I've not really heard about it.
I went the full time, the entire time. I played Jim. It was really nice. I gave up my 3 points at the back.
Thought that was a full stop.
No, I nearly did halfway through. He had like 15 crossbows, so I had to walk through them and hide, and I had Grimmer, who literally just stuck to Aragorn the entire time, followed him up the road.
So hard.
So I took my King of the Dead, and then Aragorn, I sort of sent him one way to set up his crossbows. Then I backed up on myself and went round, so he had to move his crossbows, so I missed a turn and shoot him, which did help me.
Yeah.
Gimli was throwing axes like a motherfucker. He got 2 kills back to back with axe throwing, and I was like, I'm just going to stand through axes. I mowed through them eventually, I worked my way up, got the ones at either side, picked them up, and then he literally turtled in the middle. I broke him. Legolas took out the banner, who handed it to someone else. I got priority.
Yeah.
He never got the chance to stand someone next to it. Legolas killed the banner again, which essentially won me the game. The thing is, that helped was Aragorn was obviously getting chased about with Grimmer, and it sort of slowed him down, but then he arrived. And when he arrives, with all the might, although he couldn't spend it, he could just fight, and you spend it on up in dice rolls of it, and that was it.
That then is a win as well for you.
Yep.
Win for Aaron. Myself and Louis are both on a win going into game 2, and one of us is definitely coming out of game 2 with a win, because in a 2 trees first, we're drawn against each other, and we're on table 1. Myself versus Louis, table 1 of the GT. It's everything we wanted, but not in the second game. This is what we wanted, end of the last game or fourth game.
Someone's guaranteed to lose.
You're tanking someone down the rankings, which is such a shame, but we went health for leather, and it was carnage. So I'll go. You jump in where you disagree with my opinion.
He'll be using his ARNOR, and I'll be using my WAGs. The scenario has fallen really kindly for me. with one key exception. He's got a banner, and in Destroy the Supplies, that means he starts 4-0 up. But it's going to take a massive effort for him to break through my lines. I'm still feeling pretty confident. My whole goal was to spread him away from Melbeth and his banner or kill them both. Without them, his line would crumble, and Louis knew this. And because of the banner points, he decided to completely forgo one of the objectives. He gets 4 for a banner and 3 for the objective. He's just backing himself to defend those 2. It meant as well that he could keep Melbeth in the middle of his line and give a 5+ save to his whole army.
I deployed, as the only way you can deploy the wags, in a massive line all the way across the board. But crucially, I put my captains behind because they had a little bit of archery, and I thought I'm going to march. Captains will pop out. I'll get nearby. Louis turtled up. He's fully ignored your right-hand objective, so my left.
12 inches apart. So if I get Melbeth in the middle, I can get my 6-inch bubble either side of him.
Nice.
Secure 2 objectives, just about.
I desperately wanted to get in behind him, so I committed a lot of bodies to the right and left, including all of my heroes, who I'd left a wag rider in front of as protection from the bows. The idea was I'd heroic march, move the blocker out of the way, and then swarm around him. Because of the way priorities fell and because he just didn't move at all, I didn't need to heroic march, but what it meant was I'd never moved the blocker out of the way of my captains. That meant when it came for time to charge, I couldn't actually call a heroic move. When I did, I couldn't get anywhere. There was no base size gap to get out, and it caused such a problem. It was a massive rookie error, but it cost me in the early stages. He charged out away from Melbeth and away from his banner in a lot of places, but it didn't end well for my wags.
I lost priority, and then Louis came out and got the charge on me everywhere.
So I broke away from the 6 inches to avoid the charge,
which was good. But then you cancelled my charge and it worked for you.
But I must have killed 12 wags.
12 wags, cut right through me, and you were overkilling, so it was like I wasn't rolling for wags because you needed 5s on both. So it's like you killed the wag and the rider.
Yeah.
That's bad.
As part of his charge, he also attacked one of my wags with Araneth and Argadir, and I just didn't spot it.
I charged the one wag right in the middle, or right at the top. I charged with Argadir and Arnorath, and he didn't have anyone behind. So I heroic combated and burst through. So then Argadir was away.
He's on his own into my heart.
I forgot. I didn't want your objectives. I was like, as soon as I put the things down the table, I was like, right, no objectives. You're gonna have one of mine, and then I'm gonna break you and keep my banner. And that was it. Yeah. But then I saw that opportunity. I was like, right, he's gonna go and tag 2 now.
Which is crucial because then I was like, right, I gotta get 2 objectives. You're gonna get 1. I had to send a little contingent back. I pushed you back off the second objective because I did then get a charge on the next thing. So I called heroic move here, I got a charge somewhere. I got the charge here, and where I charged, I killed. And I'm overkilling, so Melbeth saves aren't doing anything.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm knocking prone. Take that second objective. Sharku then enters the fray, and he's fight 5, 3 heroic combat, 3 attacks, which is more than the ARNOR. Basically, it then became a bit of a grind, didn't it? Which is not what I wanted. And you started spearing through, you're holding, you tighten your line right around that last objective. And in the end, I was like, right, you've got the objective with Argadir, I've got someone tagging it, another knight's got another one. The only way I can win this now is to either kill the banner, which is well protected, or kill your leader. So I went in twice, 2 turns in a row into Arvidui. First turn, I charge him with Sharku with 1 billion dice and a wag spot or whatever it is, and we both struck. I fluffed my strike roll, so you had the fight value. Then you rolled what, like 3 high, and then I won the duel roll, and then I didn't land a single win. So you flush your strike, I fluff the duel.
I think I've got a photo of that.
Whatever it is, it's carnage. And then the next turn is basically the last turn of the game, and it's the only way I can win. I have to go hell for leather again, charge Sharku in. And then you landed a cheeky wound on me, didn't you, with Arvidui, which again was a bit of a swinger, aside from the fact that you had a banner, which I'd forgotten about at the very end of the game. We had a bit of a crowd, didn't we? Everybody was watching. It was a really good game. Tell you what, it was a proper 2 trees event, and it actually was a really good game. It started out, I was a bit like, I don't want to play this. This is going to be grindy, and then by the end, it was absolute carnage.
So Louis won. I'm heartbroken. We only play each other about once a year, so I'm not going to get to exact my revenge for a good long while. And there's going to be quite a few ruined Sunday roasts and family holidays between now and then. I can feel it. I mean, the bragging's already started on our little WhatsApp group. Not ideal, but I was very happy to have played him and on table 1. So I'm not out of it yet, and Louis might well go on to do great things this tournament. But we'll just take a little second first to talk about the Baron of Dice. If you're into the new edition of the Middle-earth strategy battle game, they've got all different dice. You know, if you're wanting to support the fiefdoms with when the new Armies of Middle-earth book come out, I can definitely vouch for those Dol Amroth dice if you've watched our last video. They've got dice for Rohan, they've got Fellowship dice, loads of evil dice, Corsairs, everything. Go check them out, they're excellent. Let's get back in to game 3. Whilst we were playing on table 1, on table 2 there was an epic clash. It was a guy called Dave Farmer playing against a guy called Jakob, and they're numbers 1 and 2 in the Great British Hobbit League at the moment. So the number 1 and 2 best players in the UK at the moment. Our reward for our table 1 performance was to play against those guys in our next game. So I'm against the number 2, who is Jakob, and Louis is against Dave Farmer. It's not going to be easy, but we're ready to test our mettle against some top players. The scenario is Fog of War. Let's find out what that's all about and check in with Aaron and Leon.
In Fog of War, you're trying to outwit your opponent by concealing your true objective. Each player secretly notes down one of their own hero models to protect and one of the opponent's hero models to target. These may not be the army leaders unless they're the only hero. Players also note down a terrain piece wholly within the opponent's half of the board to capture. Each army deploys 12 inches in from their board edge. You score 1 victory point if your hero to protect is alive at the end of the game, 3 if they're alive and have suffered no wounds, and 5 if they also haven't spent any fate points. You get 1 victory point for wounding your target hero, 3 for killing them, or 5 for killing them in combat. You get 1 victory point if you have more models within or in base contact with your selected terrain piece than your opponent, 3 if you have at least 2 models and twice as many as your opponent, or 5 if you have at least 2 models there and the opponent has none. You get 1 victory point if the enemy general has been wounded, or 2 if they've been slain, and you score 1 victory point for breaking the opponent, or 3 if you break them and are not broken yourself. When one army's been broken, roll a dice at the end of each turn. On a 1 or a 2, the game ends. If not, play continues and roll again at the end of the next turn.
Aaron, what were you up against? How did it go?
Sauron, a troll chieftain, a troll with a drum, and an orc with a banner.
That's it.
That's it.
And the scenario's Fog of War.
Fog of War. So I've got to choose a troll chieftain. He's got to defend the troll chieftain. It turns out channeling banishment is a really good way to put a wound on the enemy leader and use up their free.
Is that Sauron?
Sauron, yeah. Just
you banished channel banish Sauron.
Banished Sauron 3 times.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, of course I did.
You channel it every time.
No, just channeled it the once to do it.
And then just
use up
make
some
him a will.
And then I want to take off free will to use up his will for, like I said, magic. Smash the troll with the drum with Gandalf and Éomer.
Yeah.
Then went into the troll chieftain. They keep hurling.
So that has to be your target, and he has to protect. So there's 1 billion points on the troll chieftain.
They keep hurling things at Gandalf, which I'm not enjoying. Yeah, so his troll chieftain had to use a point of might to win a comp. He ended up with no might on the troll chieftain. I fluffed the strike roll all the time, but then killed it with Erkenbrand. It's not Erkenbrand. Gandalf and Éomer. Gandalf was off his horse, and he should have picked Shadowfax. You just got to throw something at him.
Did you pick Shadowfax?
Yeah, he's a hero. Just got to throw something at Gandalf, and Shadowfax is gone.
Oh my days!
So he didn't. So he was very frustrated.
Does that mean you could pick Brago?
No, but he's not got a hero keyword. Shadowfax does.
Oh, that's
so
good knowledge for people.
Yeah. So, and he just Sauron's intelligence 3+. So just every time he just throws at his horses.
Wow.
So, but then when I realised that, and then so basically I was like, right, all I need to now do is break. So I've killed everything. I've just got to break Sauron to then break him 1, 2. I just moved Gandalf to exactly 12 inches away every turn.
Oh.
So banished him. Then I transfixed him a couple of times. To then use the resist, and then a Rider Rohan put a wound on him.
Really?
No. Just to break him, and then just basically now I'm just waiting for the game to end. Took all my things. I just moved Éomer back, moved Gandalf because I was protecting Gandalf.
You got to stay safe. Yeah.
So 17-1 as well. Yeah, so I had a 17-1 and a 20-0.
Leon was drawn against the Road to Helms Deep, and it was an army that was really similar to mine. And it turns out that our prediction in the last episode, where I said I didn't want to face 2 catapults, was pretty accurate. They just wreaked early game havoc. Leon though made a mistake, and he moved into charge range of Aragorn, who heroic combated off his spearmen and bounced behind his line. Both armies broke, and then Leon's potential targets, Legolas and Gimli, went to hide in a house.
The catapult stayed a couple of times. I got the troll in a position where I could actually throw rocks at Gimli in the house. Right, so like ball through the door, right?
Underarm.
And he ran. And Sutton ran. So ended up with a 16-1 loss. But it was,
But you loved that guy, the game, didn't you?
the guy was great. It was really good, and he was playing it really. He was enjoying it,
Yeah.
right? And it's hard playing against two catapults.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. You know the hits are coming. You know, and then it was devastating. Like I really did do a lot of damage with him, stuff like that. But it was one of those. I was like, I felt like I was going to win it, and then it just turned so quick.
So for game 3, I'm drawing against Jakob, who's the number 2 in the country, and I could tell right away it was going to be a different type of game. I like to sit down, take 3 minutes to warband up my armies, write out the scenario points so I know exactly what I'm aiming for, and all just get my head in the game, basically. As soon as I sat down, Jakob's talking about what the terrain's going to do, he's reeling off what the scenario is, he's telling me his army, he's got no army list to provide. It's a little bit of gamesmanship, and I can tell right away it's all very deliberate, trying to get on the front foot before we've even put models down. So I just kind of have to be like, okay, give me a minute, I'm writing my stuff down, and then it's go time. And there was little things like measuring the height of fences, which I've played on 50 times now. Cavalry can move over those fences, they're definitely less than half the height of the model. He must have played on them 100 times or more. But he still measured them, and just to make sure that the cavalry was over half the height. They obviously were, it ended up being a third, and then we kind of had a bit of a laugh about it and it was fine. Louis was finding a very similar experience with Dave on table 2. And basically, these guys are here to win. That's where they get the joy for the hobby. My joy is kind of recreating the scene from the film or testing my metal, maybe with a list that, like Road to Helms Deep, that isn't optimized. But the joy for them is winning. And I was very happy to rise to the challenge. It's what the GT is all about. And with that out of the way, I need to give massive credit to Jacob, or Jakob, I'm Jacob, because he played to intention really well. He'd be like, just tell me what you're doing as you do it, and then if there's any problems, I'll query it. So I'm moving every single model. I'm like, he's 6 inch out of 6 inches of him, he's within 5 of that, he's 24 away there, and if there's anything he wasn't sure on, he'd just check it. And once or twice we'd have to have a little debate or move things around, but really he was absolutely sound for that. And he said any dice that aren't completely flat, so even if it's on a bit of woodland terrain and it's just a tiny bit wonky, he'll re-roll it. So I did the same. It went against both of us a couple of times, but to his credit, stuck by his word and all that kind of thing, because I listened to Entmoot and I've heard about him winning different games and that kind of stuff. I'm not super clued into the GBHL, and Entmoot is really the only podcast that I listen to, but he's been on there a few times as a winning player. So I knew he was good and I was ready to accept the challenge. The issue was I would be using my Road to Helms Deep against his Balrog and 50 goblins. I didn't think there was any way for me to avoid the Balrog, and I didn't think I could break through his line to my terrain piece. I couldn't stop him getting the one that he wanted, and he could keep his captains behind his lines, and I wouldn't be able to kill them. So I had problems, and I decided the only way I was going to win this was to kill the Balrog and then hope for a mass exodus with his courage checks. He was going to be spread around the battlefield. His goblin captains had low courage, and they were all bunched together, which I thought was strange, but it was so there could be a might battery for the Balrog. But that was the plan. I hope the game goes on a couple of turns. I could maybe get 2 turns of him being broken, maybe 3, after I've killed the Balrog, let his guys run and go from there. The main issue, though, there is killing the Balrog. I've got Aragorn who can get up to fight value 10. Nobody else can, and I've not got access to Arndril. So I really need to think outside the box for how to bring it down. Jakob had the archery advantage, but I had the range. I stayed out of 19 inches with bows, and I fired into the Balrog as much as possible. Legolas used the point of might and caused an early wound to give me some confidence. And I was just waiting for a moment where the Balrog would move into a position where I could attack it and not be mobbed by goblins. Eventually, it moved between a ruin and a fence, and I thought, right, this is my chance. So I dropped my Gimli bomb and charged it with Gimli and Aragorn, and then did something which I think a lot of people watching are going to think is a bit crazy, and I heroic challenged it with Aragorn. That gives the Balrog 5 dice to roll to get his 6, but if he doesn't get his 6, I'm hopefully going to be able to inflict some wounds. For anybody that doesn't know, Heroic Challenge changed with the latest edition. You essentially get an extra attack and +1 to wound against the target you've challenged. If they accept the challenge, they get the same back against you, but if you kill them, you can win a point of might. If they don't accept the challenge, you still get the benefits against them, they don't get the benefits back against you. And I knew 5 dice on a Balrog would be too tempting. It would just be one massive Hail Mary at the start, because my plan for future turns was to heroic defense with Aragorn. So Aragorn can get +1 to wound against him, killing him on 5s by 3s, and the Balrog's hitting him back on 6s. I just needed him to not roll a 6 on that first turn. In the shoot phase, Legolas dropped a goblin from shooting. That powered up Gimli, and I called a heroic strength with Gimli, who would now be wounding the Balrog on 4s. I just needed it to fluff, and it did. I won the combat, but I forgot a crucial part of my plan. I meant to two-handed with Aragorn, which would have brought him down to 4s by 2s. Instead, it was 5 by 3s. So 5s by 3s from Aragorn, 4s from Gimli. I managed to inflict 3 wounds. It should have been more. I had 5 dice with Aragorn because 3 +1 for the charge, +1 for the challenge, and 3 from Gimli needing 4s. It felt like a wasted opportunity, but I'd put some damage onto it. I charged in again, and again, I should have gone two-handed. I won the combat, and I inflicted a couple more wounds, putting him down to 3. The next turn, I lost the heroic move roll-off. Aragorn gets lashed. He pulls me behind the Balrog. The Balrog eviscerates Gimli. Heroic combats into Aragorn. Aragorn's dead. It's all gone a bit wrong. I've got one final play where I fall back with Legolas and Theoden, and basically I try to trap the Balrog with riders and a banner, and Legolas and Theoden are in combat. Legolas gets charged by 2 goblins. He has to kill both of those to be in combat with the Balrog. He shoots them both dead, and then so that I still have my banner and potentially a trap, I call a heroic combat with Theoden against the Balrog. If he fluffs his dice, I've got my banner rolls, I might be able to win. As it happens, I lost.
If it had fluffed it would have been absolutely glorious, and it would have been so many dice. I might have been able to do something. It was my only thing, and then in the end, I was tabled. So, well, we're going to call it a close tabling.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, it is 21 it was. But so 1 win for me so far. Louis, though, you're down to table 2, and you're playing Dave Farmer, who is the number 1 in the GBHL at the moment.
Yeah.
And what he bought?
Well, we sat down, and I had obviously Arnor and Host of the Witch King. He had Realms of Men again, who I beat 20-0 in the first game with my Host of the Witch King. So I was praying, and then he rolled for his Watcher, which in Fog of War he can literally choose heroes to pick up and smash.
Pick the hero.
So he literally just went around the board. 1 hero, 1 hero, 1 hero, 1 hero. 6 turns in a row, 6 different heroes. Killed 6 heroes, and it was just an inevitability.
You have no way of getting into it.
I tried to run away, but because he had so many goblin captains, he could march. So the watch was marching 7 inches, lashing 6 inches, and I couldn't even run away or do anything. It was not.
What was the score?
Tables.
At the end of the first day, it's the Green Dragon pub quiz, which if you've not been to a Middle-earth tournament at Warhammer World before, is definitely worth attending just for the quiz. It's honestly such a great laugh. You've got 10 questions on lore and knowledge, and it all feels a bit serious pub quiz kind of questions. And then it just descends into chaos as the rounds get sillier and sillier, and people end up having to kind of act out poses of models, and people are guessing what they are, and you're guessing random dates and ages of dwarves and that kind of thing. It's really, really good fun. I split myself away from Aaron, Louis and Leon, who teamed up with Dan, and I went with a few other friends, Lee, Connor, Liam, Nathan, Matthew, and we won. Simple as that. We won the quiz. More importantly, so winning the quiz is great, but we beat Two Trees Gaming A, and I never did redeem that free drink, but very happy to have won the Green Dragon pub quiz for the first time. And at least I've got that on Louis. Now he's beaten me on table 1, but I've won the pub quiz. So we'll call it even. He's not here to defend that. We're going to say that's even. In the morning, Aaron explains the barge rules to Leon, who totally gets it, and isn't wondering why he's having to look at fruit instead of a bacon sandwich at breakfast time. And then it's on to game 4, which is domination. And I really need a win to stay in with a chance of captaincy at the teams tournament.
In domination, one objective is placed in the centre of the board. Each player then places 2 more objectives anywhere on the board at least 12 inches from another objective and 6 inches from a board edge. Then, players roll to determine who deploys on which side of the board. Each player may deploy anywhere in their half of the board. For each objective marker, you score 1 victory point for having more models within 3 inches, 2 for having twice as many models, or 3 victory points for being the only one with models there. You get 1 victory point for wounding the enemy general, or 2 if they're slain, 1 victory point if the enemy force is broken at the end of the game, or 3 if they're broken and you're not, and the game ends when one force is reduced to 25% of its starting number.
My game 4 was brilliant. It was against a wonderful opponent called Ben, who I'm hoping I'll get to play again. And he'd got ride out against my WAG riders. And I'm rubbing my hands thinking this is going to be an easy win. Ride out's biggest weakness is that you always have to charge if you're able. Ben, though, was using Heroic March to mitigate this. It's a really clever move, and I'm sure all Ride Out players are familiar with it, but it really does go a long way to making the list a whole lot more viable. Ben deployed tight to the back of the board and fell back very quickly to the point where the whole game was played in a 1 foot square on his side of the board. I ended up having to move round and sit next to Ben, as I had done with Louis and another one of my future opponents, but it does make the whole game a lot more friendly, if not a little more awkward, so sorry for that to all my opponents. We exchanged kills. He was obviously killing a lot faster than me, but he started with a lot less models. At the point I broke, I had Wags run off key objectives and Legolas charged forward to claim one himself. A standfast with my captain kept a bunch of Wags in check, and they'd claimed 2 of my objectives, but it was looking very tight. In the end, I quartered him and won the game 7-6, which wouldn't be my closest game of this tournament, but it was incredibly close. Although I did win with a little help from my family, who had to go and get some of my carry cases, which I'd left at home in the wrong car. My family came to bring boxes that I'd left them at home. They came and brought a storage box, so we put our models in at the end of the day. With my children in tow, I have 3. Ben, great opponent. I said, oh, do you mind if I just let my kids roll dice? The combat happened to be Aragorn against some Wag Riders, and basically I let my 2 least favourite children roll some dice, and they got 1s and 2s, and then I let my favourite child roll some dice, smashed out some 6s. Okay, roll the wound dice, Asher. He took 2 wounds and all of Aragorn's fate off him. And I didn't touch the dice, it didn't feel right. I kept saying to Ben, like, is this okay? It does count, is this okay? And he's like, yeah, it's great, get me involved, it's great. I'm like, thank you, Ben, because Asher will remember that forever.
Asher will tell like this.
Examining like, no way.
He will be rewarded with much ice cream.
Oh,
Leon played Chris, who was my first opponent, who had the Mouth of Sauron and the Trolls, and unluckily for Chris, Leon's army build was very similar to mine, very hero heavy, except he also had Arndril and the King of the Dead, and they're basically troll killing specialists.
Won the game 6-5. I killed everybody.
King of the Dead?
King of the Dead. King of the Dead, on Legolas put a couple of wounds on the Troll Chieftain with bows, but 5-6 wins, so it was absolutely delighted.
Nice. Well, that puts you on 2 wins as well.
So that was 2 wins.
Me and you on 2 wins.
Nice.
And then Louis and Aaron are going into the day
on 2 wins.
On 2 wins each. And Aaron, what were you up against and what table were you on? Or roughly?
Table 7? Table 5? Table 7. Table 7 against Ents on domination.
Okay.
Which is a tricky thing for him. The ballista.
But they got the dominant though.
Yeah. Doesn't help if you get ballistas to face.
I forgot about the ballista.
But actually, it suited him because we started closer. He was only 24 inches away.
Yeah.
He kind of kept stuff 12 inches apart, which really suited me. I put one right under my ballista and was like, he's not going to change sides. He might do, but then that kind of also suits me if he then needs to guard that. I'm just going to keep shooting that end.
Nice.
So I was like, well, that's fine.
I do exactly the same way.
And then I broke through the middle with my leader, who didn't fight a single combat. And
as always, that's the Ashley plan.
My leader, Berserker, and 2 pikes. And I stood in the middle of 3 objectives with the leader to trigger his standfast.
Yeah,
for
that's what I
everybody.
did as well.
He at one point he was like, "Oh, how close? What's your break point?" I'm like 27. He's like, and I'd like lost like 9 guys. At the end of the turn, Treebeard mullered 4 guys and then did all their pikes, and I was like, "Oh, I'm now 6 off being broke." Like 12 guys in one turn with 3 guys. But I then just took all my courage tests in the right order once I was broken.
Yeah,
and then the game ended first turn after I broke, because I was like, I'll just take all the courage tests in the right order. My leader, he was a really nice guy. I gave him the best game. He was a really nice guy, but he just was
tough
just up against it.
So that's a win. No,
Oh, and
3
he got
wins.
an army nomination. His ents were in the army nomination.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, very nice army.
How did you get on in game 4, Lou?
Really good game. I was playing with my host, the Witch King, drawn against Battle of Forest.
Oh, and you won with
But
that.
you said it was a really good game, and then you said I was playing my host. Oh, great game for you. Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was great actually, because he had a line of elf spearmen with a line of minister of swordsmen in front,
And themey as well.
And I was really themey, but I had obviously a hero. Spirit hero every 3 inches, so causing terror across the whole line. The ministers couldn't charge. The elves would have, but it was ministers in front, so I never got the charge. So now I was piecemealing with werewolves down the side. ARNOR came in, got magicked like crazy, so he ran away. And then Gothmog came on the other side. He got paralysed and got killed and stuff. And then it was a challenge. But it was a great game. Lovely opponent. Really nice. Really. It's nice when people stay really nice and positive when you paralyse everybody. It doesn't make me feel so bad. But it was great, and it was about 16-3 in the end.
We all tried really hard in our armies. It's nice to contribute to the spectacle of the tournament. And basically, during the first game of the second day, the judges come round and you might get a little nod saying you've been invited to put your army in the cabinet, which means then all the other players can go and vote on their favourite armies. About 8 will be out there. We're all desperate for it. A lot of my army build is covered in our Patreon exclusive vlogs, but it's Louis that is most desperate for it. His main motivation, as much as we make fun of him, is to actually get nominated for the cabinet. It was all about that for him. Unfortunately, none of us got nominated, but there is a little bit more to it than that, which I'll cover in just a second. Let's look at the nominees first. From a pure painting standpoint, Dimitri's army is incredible. All of the colours are so crisp and bold, and the fact he's not got a display board and has still got the nomination shows just how good the painting is. There was an incredible ride out board complete with a Bluetooth speaker just for the feels. Chris Webster's incredible Fellowship of the Ring. The beautiful Ents that we've just seen, and serial winner Phil Beale's take on the Battle of Edoras. They're all awesome, just so good. But there were 2 that stood out above all others for me. One was the Relief of Helms Deep, the slightly better version of Aaron's one, which was by Scott Whitefoot. I just need to clarify, this is not a shot from the film, because it just looks so good. He'd won at a previous tournament with an army of elves that were kind of autumnal and red. Unbelievable painter. And then the eventual winner was Tom Thorpe of Planet Mithril, so well played, Tom. The water, the stones, the floor coverings, it's just all insane. As someone who's building an Amon Hen board, I've taken a billion pictures of this and I'm going to be stealing everything I can. But please now, immediately forget it, because my board is going to look nothing like that.
We do have a public safety announcement. Do you want to talk us through what Ed was saying about your board, Lou?
Yeah, because I tried really hard and I really did want to get in the cabinet. So I was sad not to get the nod. But then he came and found me afterwards.
He saw you out, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It was really kind, because I know they've given you guys pointers before about painting tips and that kind of thing.
You don't need those, Lou.
No, I assume that's what he was going to say.
Never give me pointers, I don't know why.
Because my painting's not up to it, but he did say it's best army. It's not best painted, it's best army. So they take into account the board and everything. So he said on his own merit, he probably deserved it, I think, reading between the lines. But I used ruins. I had ruins of Asciliath to put up around Arnor, but I thought, I'll change it up and use some old 40k ruins that I found. And they're not allowed to be used.
Because the new line licensing doesn't let them submit 40k models and stuff as part of the Lord of the Rings thing. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, nice.
But that is good for people to know. So if you're taking a board to Warhammer World, don't use 40k stuff. So
and also models, because he said about the same. Someone used like a cool banner conversion using a banner from one of the iconic models from 40k.
Well, you've got a
Exact
Gulliver
same.
that you were going to convert.
Yeah, exactly.
From a Morgas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the same. So
Be careful
cabinet
of
is
that.
not 40k.
Yeah.
Game 5 is to the death, which means that game 6 will be hold ground, and I'm desperate to have my wags for hold ground. Their advantages in Maelstrom make it very difficult to lose with them. The first roll would be absolutely huge. I desperately needed to be using my Road to Helms Deep for to the death. Let's find out what it's all about first though.
Into the death, each player deploys within 12 inches of their board edge. You score 1 victory point for wounding the enemy general, 3 if the enemy general has been wounded and only has 1 wound remaining, or 5 victory points if they were removed as a casualty. You get 3 victory points for breaking the opponent, or 5 if you're not broken and break the opponent, 2 victory points if your opponent has no banners at the end of the game, 1 victory point if you have at least 1 banner at the end of the game, or 2 victory points if you have more banners than your opponent, 3 victory points for reducing the enemy to 25%, and 1 victory point for each enemy hero model that's been removed as a casualty, up to a maximum of 3. The game ends when one force has been reduced to 25% of its starting number.
I was drawn against John, who we affectionately refer to as Catapult John, as he's the source of Leon's best ever win. At the last team's tournament, Leon catapulted his Dragon Emperor off his Pelican and caused all kinds of carnage. He rolled the dice to determine whether I would be Wags or Road to Helms Deep. I was Wags. It's going to be 2 difficult games. I've got Wags into the death and Road to Helms Deep in hold ground, and my Wags are against Radagast's Alliance. It's going to be interesting. And it was John who Leon had catapulted his Dragon Emperor a couple of tournaments ago, and he remembered. So he wanted some sweet revenge, and basically it ended up being a great game. I started off with a heroic combat of Shaku, threw an eagle into another one.
Oh my god.
2 wounds off that second one. I'm like, right, this is game on. And then the courage check started taking hold. And basically, in the end, it looked like it was going to be a draw. And he barged in the very last combat, barged into one of my captains, killed my captain, took an 11-10 win. 11-10.
Shout out, he's a really nice guy, and the whole team are.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all really
Is that
good.
Victrix? Victrix or something.
Is
Yeah.
that, yeah,
All really nice
Calman
guys.
and that.
Yeah,
Great lads.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
And it was Matt from the same team that John's on. So, and he had Battle of Fornost. I deployed right in the centre, had my catapults left and right, but not right in the corners. I put a direct hit on Keradan, which he then fated and survived, but everyone around him took hits. And so I think for the first 2 turns I'd killed like 10 guys.
No.
He then came over with Glorfindel, got into the troll and couldn't kill the troll. The troll was actually
With Glorfindel,
Yep.
he's good against them.
the troll was knocked over because he had put one of my scatters for Glorfindel onto the guy next to the troll, knocked the troll over, but never killed the troll. The troll got back up. They had to, so the troll started doing work. Then he got rid of one of my catapults on the left. As he was coming over the right with Glorfindel, I got a direct hit on him and got him off his horse, which left him in no man's land. I then was chasing him with a troll. While I literally put a ring around Gothmog in the middle. Like I'm talking proper ring with him and the banner in the middle, and surrounded him. And I kept having the catapult there to keep pummeling him. And I broke him, and then
Literally.
Did you end up winning?
It sounds a lot harder when you can't paralyse the ARNOR.
a 13-0 win.
Wow.
No,
Which is,
so then, Aaron and Lou, you're actually going up the rankings here.
Table 5.
Table 5
Louis, yeah, Louis,
and table 7.
5.
So, and that's your front row. Like, there's 3 rows of tables. Anything front row is great.
Tables? You should know.
Yeah, you should. So you know how Glorfindel doesn't like a catapult? Doesn't like a ballista to the face either.
For God's sake.
So I played
what-
Foremost.
Did you?
Foremost, he just got ARNOR and Glorfindel.
Yeah.
Used up. He tried to horse lord it. Used up 3 fate to keep Asphalt off. Then
That's a dream.
no,
but then
no,
it's
that
a
was with the
fate.
crossbow. So he used up Asphalt's fate and then 2 of his own fate. to
Right,
keep
yeah,
them.
okay, gotcha.
Then obviously you get knocked prone when you get hit by a ballista.
So it was off the horse
That was
anyway.
brutal. Off the horse, shot him 5 inches backwards, took a knight with him, off the horse. He then charges forwards with everybody, which is fine. I just copped a few charges. obviously then the blister on the scatters 3 inches, and he didn't leave anybody back with Glorfindel. So shot Glorfindel in the face again.
Wow.
Took off his final fate, then he started to hide him. My Uruk-hai captain, leader, finally fought his first combat of the tournament, killed an elf and then ran away.
We have on good evidence. There's a podcast where you say, if you capture your leader is in combat, we think you're doing it wrong, and now you're on table 7.
Genuinely nearly didn't put him in, because I was like, how annoyed am I going to be at myself if this guy rolls a 6 and stab?
5. So going into the last game, you're on 4 wins and a loss.
4 wins and a loss, big wins as well.
Lou, you got to match this. I'm not catching him. You got to match it, Lou.
Well, it was Dom that did you in, wasn't it? And you said I needed to exact some revenge on him. So we sat down, we rolled for who's going to go. And the roll went my way because he had to use his riders at Theoden against my Host of the Witch King. And he had Theoden, Éomer, Gambling, and that was his 3 heroes.
Yeah.
Oh wait, how many Barrow Wights do you
I have 3 Barrow Wights.
So he charges in, you keep the barracks behind the line, paralysed. Is that the job?
No,
basically?
to be fair, I played it quite well. My first move was a Spectre, a Royal Guard out, because although they got bodyguards, an intelligence test, so they're not that intelligent. So we pulled him out. I got Witch King, a werewolf, a captain, a few guys around him, and heroic combated off him into a paralysed Éomer. Long story short, Éomer, Theoden, and Gambling were all paralysed at the same time, and they all died within 15 seconds of each other.
Oh God!
Literally within 15 seconds. It was.
So,
He was actually a really lovely guy, and yet again,
he's great.
Grateful to an opponent for not sulking for
He looked a little bit sad. He was on the top tables. I don't think. I think if you'd asked him in hindsight, when we re-rolled the banner against me in the first game that cost me the game, if we'd have actually wanted to do that, I don't necessarily know that he'd taken me up on the offer.
If he knew it was sending him to Barrow Wights.
In Hold Ground, there is one objective in the centre of the board. Players' armies arrive via the rules for Maelstrom of Battle, which are on screen now. You score 4 victory points if you have more models within 6 inches of the centre of the board than your opponent, 8 victory points if you have at least twice as many models, and 12 victory points if you have 3 times as many models there, or are the only one with models there. You get 1 victory point for wounding the enemy general, or 3 if you kill them, 1 victory point for breaking the opponent, or 3 if you're not broken and you break the opponent, and 2 victory points if the opponent has no banners remaining. When one arm is broken, roll a dice at the end of each turn. On the roll of a 1 or a 2, the game ends. If not, play continues and roll again at the end of the next turn.
Aaron is on table 3 with 4 wins and a loss, and Louis is on table 4 with 4 wins and a loss. So it's a nice 2 trees ensemble on the top tables. But first, we've got to talk about my game. So really quickly, I had an amazing game. It was against Ugluk Scouts, and it's Hold Ground, and he's got 60 models. I've got 15. Turns out I smashed really hard and they die really quick. One turn I did 15 models on the charge, heroic combating. But Ugluk has a rule where he can put a thing in the middle of the board and it gives everybody in the middle dominant 2. And then they can't break, so he can keep killing up. So I had to keep finding ways around with heroic combats. But essentially the next 5 turns I won 1 out of the 5 roll-offs for the heroic move. And that loses me my strength, an attack on the charge, and my fight value. Very difficult, but honestly, great game. Absolutely loved it. Got battered, 11-1. Leon, where are you at?
So Catapult John was out for revenge, and he got it. He got some sweet revenge. Right? He had Wraiths on Wings. Legolas and Aragorn rolled ones to come on at the start. Maelstrom, Legolas and the King up the same side, but massively exposed. And just got mobbed. It's just constant transfixies, black darts. I mean, they eventually killed the King with a black dart. Well, just what
6 will.
The wall was gone, but then it was just using magic on him, and then it'll make me spend the wall, then using the next Wraith to do it, and then using the next Wraith to do it, and just weakening me, and then because he didn't have to worry about it, because Aragorn and the rest of the army with Gimli, who is a natural sprinter but not very fast, I literally couldn't get there quick enough. If I'd held off a bit longer, 2 of his Wraiths, I'd killed 1, 2 of them had 1 will left. So they'd have popped after 1 mere fight, and he'd have been down to 2. But by then the army was going, he was just rolling so many 6s. And I mean, we talked about it after it, and John said that. He says, okay, I rolled so many 6s. And I said, look, you played really well as well. I was like, did he just say it was because of the dice? Because I mean, I can blame the dice, which I will. But then you think it was just the dice that done it? But it definitely was, John. It was definitely the dice that done it. You know, loads of 6s, and I'll see it teams. So I lost
with a catapult.
I'm bringing 3 catapults this time.
If you can get a win, anything can happen.
then. So who wants to go first? Aaron, you go first.
Okay, I played Dave, who Louis previously played with the Watcher in the Water.
Yeah.
I used my light at the first light of the day rule, whatever it is, to try and murder the Watcher. I went big on it. He shit himself a little bit. He was like, what he said was, it's interesting, I Sorcerer's Blasted his leader in the first turn, rode out, Sorcerer's Blasted and rode back. And he was like, oh, this is serious. And I was like, yeah, like, so tried to put a wound on it to set the victory
As
point.
if table 3 on the GT
He said, oh, most people don't do stuff like that.
Did you get that wound?
And that took his fate off him.
Ah,
but I'm like, but, you know.
Yeah.
Then, so I went big on the 2 riders, EOMER, on the -1 turn, heroic strike, tried to heroic combat with Gandalf fluffed, so I then put like 1 wound onto it. Yeah. And I beat the Watcher 3 turns in a row and didn't drop it to 3 wounds. Like, I just couldn't put wounds on it. EOMER didn't roll any 6s. I used 3 will to blinding lights so they couldn't tentacle, because when the tentacle it takes the charge away.
That's what girl played.
So like, yeah, and I thought that was like quite serious.
What numbers did he have? Because you've only got 14.
66 models.
66 versus 14.
So you can't win. You can't win, basically. But like Ed, well, it was like, oh, I was going to come over and see you, and he said you just didn't look like you wanted.
He said he saw you like this,
something like that,
and then you went like this.
Pushed my glasses up, and then he says it's the first time I've seen you look sad.
Yeah.
He was like, I've seen you get battered and you look happy. I've seen you batter people and you look happy. He says, you're normally in the middle.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I lost 22.
Yeah, good effort.
He got to the point he was trying to keep the game going so he could take 20 victory points, and I was like, he had a captain fighting Gandalf, and I was like, a captain of spear. I was like, if Gandalf loses this combat and you put 3 wounds on me, I'm not going to roll my fate. Because that is going to break me, and then we're going to start rolling for the game to end the name is still alive. And then you are only going to beat me 18-2. So that's how I had to go. And I was like, well, I started to spitefully try and take victory points off him. So I'll let you work that out.
So then, Louis, you're against Demetrius.
Demetrius, yeah, really good game actually. I've never played the new. It was the Besiegers of Hornburg, so we had the Wolf Targ and the Trolls. I was kind of dreading Maelstrom, but I kind of managed to get everyone together with the exception of a captain and stuff. But so essentially, we both marched into the middle and just had a massive slog. So it was kind of good. Malbeth saves, which Dimitri reminded me of at least 20 times. Kept coming in, especially on the heroes. That 4+ on the heroes is massive. So kind of I was grinding through. It looked like it was going really badly, and then all of a sudden I was kind of not that far off breaking him. I was broken.
He gets +1 to wound on an objective.
+1 to wound.
Really does when you've got a 6.
+1 to wound, 6 inches from the objective.
I didn't know that.
So literally, but I also wanted to be 6 inches from the objective to be within Malbeth. So I had to be within that 6 inches. So it was a bit carnage.
He had torches and things as well, didn't he?
Torches for dominant 2. They do die. So that actually, with the grind, but also because I was so outnumbered, I was like, oh, shield. I was like, I'm going to be outnumbered all game. So actually, at some point, I need to stop shield and start trying to kill some guys.
Any army where you can fight, where you can take models off and kill it. Ugluk Scouts and the Hillmen. That is good to play against.
Such a good player. They played it really well. Like he was like throwing guys and barging where he needed to with the troll and stuff, and he knew exactly what he was doing. And I kind of pulled it around nearly. But I was 6 games in after a weekend, tired. I didn't roll any foresight points. Kept forgetting Malbeth's rule. So like you just got to concentrate. But 18-2-ish.
I think that's half the battle though, has been switched on at that way.
After the last game was the awards, and more importantly, finding out who finished highest out of the 4 of us and who would be team captain for the teams tournament coming in May. But before that was Most Sporting, and I was one of 7 players with all the same amount of votes. But I was very, very happy to get a Most Sporting award.
Did you not move me?
What? Sorry, I can't hear you over the clinking of the gold. It's a sweet gold
horrible.
thing.
He's got his weird morals. You know what? You're less likely to get a vote off him because he's got his weird morals.
Gotta do it right. All I'm gonna say is I voted with what my heart told me to be true. But very happy with the Most Sporting award, and happy to be the only one in the car with the trophy. Again. Okay, we'll come into it because we've not got there yet. Connor did really well though, didn't he? He ended up finishing 3rd. So well done, Connor. Andy carried us in the quiz. So well played.
I'm going to say generally 2 trees. Like Nathan got top 20. You think he was 22nd?
Everybody did really well.
We punched.
Dan did all right.
It was.
So great to meet everybody. Yeah, because it was quite a bunch.
Particularly those ones with law knowledge for the quiz.
So then it's final placings, and if you remember,
the person that finishes highest out of the 4 of us is going to be captain in teams.
I'm the captain now.
Oh God!
Are you doing that thing from Captain Phillips?
Yeah. Oh, well, that way
This is
then.
my
I am the captain. Look at me. Look at me. I am the captain now. Start painting eagles. I need eagles and wraiths.
Oh God! But yeah, Aaron is the captain now.
What was it, please?
For teams.
I got
who finished
14th.
Who finished last, just to check?
Let's start in bottom order, Jake.
Bottom order,
Kick us off.
Great filming, guys. We'll see you in the next tournament. I finised last.
So this is the second tournament in a row.
It is the second
At
tournament.
least in the last tournament, it was because you're not very
58,
pleasant. Now it's because you're not very good at the game.
I'm not. Oh no, it's the wrong one. What's that? Sorry. So yeah, 57th-ish.
Under my captaincy, you're gonna have to be nice to people.
Leon.
I was 50th, I think. 50th.
50th.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
And then where did you two finish? It's tight.
What were you? I was 17th.
14.
17 and 14.
Buzzing.
20, well done, boys.
Yeah.
And Aaron is legitimately the captain.
The captain.
Massive congratulations to Connor, who's been one of our grey wizards for a little while now, and he's clearly been using the channel to work out what not to do in games. Big shout out to Dimitris, who ended up finishing 4th by 1 victory point, but he's a great player. Louis played against him. He'll be back again soon. In 2nd place was Dave Farmer, who did really well, but obviously had an easy ride because he only had to beat Aaron and Louis. And then in 1st place was another newly joined wizard, another newly joined Patreon, Alessandro. Massive congratulations, Alessandro. We crossed paths a little bit. He seems like such a genuinely nice guy. And I know it broke Connor's heart, but winning a game using Frodo, Sam and Gollum for the victory points, using the Garrison of Ithilien, is such a great play. So congratulations on your big win. Congratulations again to Connor. And that's some good 2 trees representation near the top of the tournament there. We had such a great time. Thank you so much for everybody who voted for me for most sporting, because every game I played was excellent. Okay, one was against Louis. And then the game against Jakob was a whole different style of game, but it was still really enjoyable. And all the others all had hilarious moments, were played in the right spirit, really competitive, great fun. It's honestly, I mean, I'm obviously really lucky to have these trophies, but this is probably the one I'm most proud of now. Please consider joining the Patreon. It really goes a long way, but you all know that by now. There's some vlogs about us making armies for upcoming tournaments and all different things, and some great dice. Please keep watching. Please like and subscribe. I assume you are if you've made it this far. We'll see you again soon.
Why
do we think it's Argadir?
Why have they called him Argadir?
I don't know.
Why is that Argadir and Aaron?
Yeah.
I'm sure that, like...
I wholeheartedly went purely for the board. I found an interestingly shaped piece of foam, turned it into a fort of ARNOR, and then built a big board around it. And I've really been working on this board for like 8 months.
There's a board was whispering to you saying, Barrow Wights.
Yeah.
Barrow Wights.
I just want to be in the cabinet.
You've not even built a barrow on it. You know what? If you'd have built a barrow on it, I'd have been like, okay.
You know when Aaron said, oh, he just wants to be in the cabinet at Throne of Schools, and he bought Road to Rivendell, and people were really rooting for him. You know, let's hope Aaron gets in the cabinet. I just want to be in the cabinet. I'm going to bring 3 Barrow Wights and 4+ saves. You scumbag. So Aragorn.
I mean, it doesn't work very well against pieces of shit armies like that. But he don't really kill my heroes, but he could be killing my Army of the Dead, so it just shows you their defence is very good.
Yeah.
I had some will left over, so I paralysed a few of those as well.
Aye. Made her feel really special. So, why would you paralyse me? I'm just a normal guy.
They've got 33 shots, they drop 8 pikemen a turn. Why did we not take Rangers? I know.
Yeah, somebody. No, I'm surprised you didn't take Rangers backwards.
Louis could have done it with his Barrow Wights. Yeah, they would fit on that board as well.
Oh, I've got my favourite scene. It's the Barrow Wights versus the Rangers of EOMER. I just want the cabinet.
I do all my orders. I'm so desperate.
Who's going to win? Who's going to win the most games at the GT? That one. I'm trying to point at Louis.
Who is going to make people cry? Which, and you know what? You're in the backlist when it's got 2 catapults, but everything you.
Okay.
So are we betting on the?
Oh, hang on! I have something to announce. If everybody
That sounds like cool stuff in my board now. Bloody broke down.
again,
Let's. I think we should all learn from this. Your boards need to be within the frame.
yeah,
Within the frame.
So first game was Recon, and I drew my defender. Just wait for the noise. Great. Okay. Is that okay? Right.
You're missing one of those cows.
It's so good.
No.
That's from Julian,
Thanks,
by the way.
Julian.
Thank you, Julian. Loving the.
What?
You giving an Easter egg? Chocolate? Yeah. What an absolute legend, genuinely.
So I've played Mark before once, a long time ago at a singles day. It was like sort of my introduction at Middle Earth. The first tournament I came in when me and you played doubles, it was the day before.
Okay.
And he's a nice guy, Matt, and he knows the game. He plays at that very good side, the team. So it's probably my biggest win, genuinely. As well as John, I beat John and his team at the teams as well. So like between the two, but that's what is our.
That's not an easy matchup.
Catapulting the Emperor.
It's
route
so
and then catapulting Wolf
that team don't like catapult. So
First turn, I sniped Asloff.
He's Asfaloff.
Asfaloff.
You shot him with the blister as Asfaloff.
Shot him one crossbow in.
We ended up winning the quiz, which was a thing.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
That is unheard of.
It's unheard of. It is so. Thank you so much.
Next time you go to the quiz, don't say any answers in the toilets because there's somebody lurking to listen.
So somebody might have overheard a troll's surname in the toilet. No, I'm not saying who. I'm not saying if it's true or not. But we won by 2. That's the most important thing.
Look, can I go back a little bit?
No, you literally can't. Literally can't.
It's just in terms of getting in the shop.
I'm sorry, you're uncomfortable there.
No, actually, I was thinking about my shot. What a Jake. Nobody wants.
Jake, getting some outtakes gold, by the way.
I mean, say some guys it was blockers, but I was like, oh, actually no, because they'll be able to heroic combat off them. So I just retreated.
That's what the world thinks of it.
Oh, battery's dead in the car.
No.
And we're sleeping everyone. Hello.
No, we're back.
No, that's not on.
Do you try and sell the card?
Yeah,
Don't
you
do
need
it.
to.
Hello.
I started
do with that one.
Next tournament is teams. So we're all working together on our own thing. We'll see you soon. What the fuck? What just saying? It's working together on our own thing. Okay, we're going. Bye.
This is why you're not the captain.
Oh, I thought I should add, not enough was made of it. Aaron's the captain now. This is honestly a disaster. Our group chat has just been pinging with instructions, orders, commands. But to his credit, he's taken control. He has fully decided what we're doing for teams. We're gonna go for a best board, and then hope we can win some games with the armies that we're gonna bring along with it. So you can look forward to that, and hopefully we'll have a little teams planning podcast style video coming pretty soon, because teams is in May, so it won't be long till our next tournament review.